Okay, so we are making our way through time in different styles mostly. And so from the very beginning of the class, you could look at those timelines and see where these are. Even the book that is not required, I put it on the notes. I put it on the notes, sorry, and with the questions as well. It goes through the same topics, but several others that we're not covering yet, but we'll cover towards the end of the semester. So this week, we'll take a look at the Industrial Revolution and what it's done for us, a lot for us. As far as opening up all the different styles, materials, and then arts and crafts and art nouveau, a completely different type of style after that time. So, you can follow along if you like. I did post the questions for assignment 9 there. There it is. For assignment 9, the questions are posted there. There are a few more because I decided to kind of combine these topics and some of them we kind of move through time a little bit faster, a little bit of glimpse of each one of these styles. Okay, so moving forward, let's take a look at this Industrial Revolution. So when we talk about architecture and design and different styles, we have to also include the conversation of things that are happening in life, right? And art especially. They're all kind of combined in a way because when there's changes in our lifestyle, there are things that bring on new challenges for us as architects and designers, like this, right? When the steam engines and all of these big pieces of equipment were designed and invented. Oh, wait, do you still see? Yeah, by engineers. So engineers really led the way here. There's a whole conversation on that as well, as far as building bridges and working with this new steel that was developed. We as architects and designers kind of follow or need to adjust and change and follow that design pattern. And so we have these huge factories um, and so many people working in these factories. There's like a process now that we're designing for. The Industrial Revolution occurs when people are working with family farms, work in the factories. And so you see this a lot in the late 1800s and early 1900s, this movement. And it did have positive and negative effects on people. I think most of us hear about the negative effects on working conditions, but it was better and inexpensive for goods and transportation and communications that were possible, but also brought a lot of pollution, child labor issues, crowded cities. So we know about the crowded cities and the pollution a little. I think we get that highlight. It led to, though, new machines and buildings for people to work within. It was a new architecture of this image of machine. So machine and man, and you'll see a lot of comparisons to the machine and like a human body, sort of like we saw in Leonardo da Vinci's connection with the human body. Now we're looking at these machines in a way, and we'll see that later on as artists start to do that. Before 1900s, were engaged with elements of design of the past. The industry growth brought new building materials and technologies like cast iron, steel, glass, and reinforced concrete. really good, right? Because remember when we were talking about the Romans and how the Romans perfected concrete? And now we're taking concrete to another level by adding reinforcing in it. It doesn't have to be as thick. Some of the buildings in downtown Chicago, the original skyscrapers have like 16-foot base wall because this wasn't invented at that time, and so we needed to make the walls thicker. And now we're coming up with these light gauge, almost thin wall systems here based on the materials. So now we have to design around the whole idea of a factory, just like we kind of are now. If you fast forward to something as simple as marijuana, right? Like when it was made legal and you see all these cannabis, I don't even know if I'm using the right words, I think I have, cannabis shops that,
Dispensaries.
what is it, centers?
Dispensaries.
Dispensaries, thank you. And so now we have a whole other, building type that is part of our culture. Some people embraced it and really found out more about it. I worked on one or worked with the drawings, and it's a totally different building, because if you think about it, you have the plants, so you have to bring in the quality of the temperature and all of the HVAC systems, which is sort of like what's happening here in the Industrial Revolution, where architects now are faced with this industrial design, and some people shunned it, like and went back to the arts more because they thought the machine was too cold and engineering like. And other people embraced it, like Albert Kahn, in Michigan. We're going to take a look at how he embraced the industrial architecture of that time. Okay, so skyscrapers, taking a look at this picture at the bottom right corner, now we have this transition of a wall that can be like a skeleton. It's actually called a curtain wall. Sounds like it's a curtain in a way, because you have the steel structure and then you're kind of hanging a wall on it, but you're not hanging it, like you're attaching it, but it's like that. So this is in the around 1850-ish. Like, hello.
Hello.
So mass producing steel inexpensively led to development of skyscrapers. Now we had full skyscrapers, but like I said, I think I put it over there instead.
Oh, yeah.
Right over here, honestly. So the invention of the skyscraper, a lot of different architects came out of this, but George Fuller, who worked on solving the problem of the load bearing capacities of the tall building. So George Fuller built this building called the Tacoma Building in 1889. The first structure ever built where the outside walls did not carry the weight of the building. And it opened up a whole other direction for us. Especially when we started using the idea of beams and steel structures, sort of like steel cages that we see now that are supporting the skyscrapers. There was a great transition from the 6 to 8 foot thick wall, masonry wall, to the steel frame. Huge change for us there. So I added this note about this town in Yemen being considered to have the world's oldest skyscrapers made out of these mud bricks. Structures rise 5 to 9 stories, and often called them Manhattan of the desert. So skyscrapers are starting to develop going from these thicker walls to thinner walls, and with that comes, height, everybody wanting to build higher and higher and higher in our skyscraper design. But this, building right here, the Great Exhibition, in the, is Crystal Palace, London, 1851. You really need to know this building if you're in architecture, because it was only a temporary building for an exhibition. So Queen Victoria opens influential exhibits of steel and glass. So it was like a big, like you would see at the show place in Novi, right? A big exhibit highlighting all of the different machines. So it was built with this kind of steel glass skeleton of a building to house all of these different things. And the building itself became quite a wonder for everyone. Even Frank Lloyd Wright did travel there, and he sat with some of the other famous architects like Le Corbusier and others that were looking at all of these technical inventions, inspired, I think, by it, for the most part. Like I said, there was a whole other class, style, or people that were ignoring this and thinking that it was going to ruin us, honestly, sort of like AI. Or when CAD came around and we were hand drafting, there are a lot of transitions where people are reluctant to embrace technology. But it was, it's here to stay and it's not going anywhere. So you ride the wave, you find out a little bit more about it, or you decide not to. Go in a different direction. So, so this was a temporary structure. 6 million people, equivalent to a third of the entire population of Britain, visited this exhibition. And it, like I said, it had all in it, all of those machine type things that were new, like appliances that we have today that were just coming out at that time. Steel making displays, big equipment. You can see it down there in the picture. Glass and iron, vaulted, roof. So yeah, it really influenced us architecturally with this new industry of materials. And from that, like I said, came these skyscrapers. This one here is still up, and a lot of them were destroyed over time, but it's considered to be the oldest remaining skyscraper in New York. It's a really cool building to go around because it's really triangular, but it has that steel framed wall that we were talking about, flat iron building. So when we talk about skyscraper height, everybody wanted to, have the tallest building because, they got a lot of recognition. The technology was there. We could try to go taller, taller, taller. We saw a lot of different movements through this, one big tall one, and then we had a bunch of different tubes of steel that were all tied together and got smaller as you go, up to the top. And we're talking about skyscrapers around the 1880s. So this quest for the height really, really put us into this idea where we had to define what is considered, height. So somebody could have a really long antenna, and if their building is higher because they're, the height is from the top of the antenna, then that's different than a skyscraper that goes to the top of a whole floor that's occupied by people. See, there's a huge difference between that. So this council of tall buildings and urban habitat made these, defined these categories, these four. We did structural or architectural top, the highest occupied floor, the top of the roof, top of the antenna. So towers, like the CN Tower in Canada, is actually a tower. Have you ever been there? It's like it's a very cool tower, but you don't, no one lives there. So you just can take the elevator up to an observatory. Um, and although it's 1,816 feet, it's not considered to be a skyscraper. Okay, so some of the kind of famous skyscrapers that came out of this time, the Woolworth Building, 57 stories, was the world's tallest building during that early 1900s. Is currently a National Historic Landmark of the Gothic style. The pyramid top, barrel vaulting, lobby, and Gothic detailing bring this historic style to a modern construction for its time. It's steel frame supported by massive caissons that are penetrated to the bedrock. And those are, so when you design a skyscraper, these caissons are those steel piles or concrete that are embedded in the ground. And sometimes those are down 100 feet or more because they help to balance the weight of the skyscraper. All the way to bedrock, where bedrock being like that layer that's you know that it's attached to and it's not gonna move around. The exterior decoration is cast in limestone colored glazed terracotta panels. So these panels are attached to the structure, steel structure. And you know, there was a movie that was filmed based on this tower at Bob. Do you guys remember I don't know if you've seen it, that it's called Enchanted, I think? Where she turns into a dragon. She turns into a dragon at the end of the movie. She's fighting the dragon at the end of the top of this tower. It's really showing all the detail that's up at the top there. Here's oh, I did put that in here. I forgot to put that in there. There's the movie Enchanted. Right, and that's kind of a little bit about it. But look at you see the barrel vaulting that's going on in here. It sort of looks like the Fisher Building. If you've ever been to the Fisher Building, it's again the same stuff. Okay. And then of course there's this one. Everyone kind of knows about it, maybe. It's and I'm not sure I know how to pronounce this really well. I could, but it's in Dubai, Burj Dubai. I probably should walk. The idea about pronouncing these is I almost have to go back and like look it up and how's that pronounced. It's a foreign language, but like to pronounce it correctly. But it is in Dubai, and this is the one that what was it? Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise had in his movie where he was like climbing on the outside of it. Anyways, tallest building. Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, SOM, also referred to, they are in Chicago and other states. The unfinished skyscraper soars higher than, I'm gonna show you some examples of other tall buildings that used to be the tallest one. So in January 2009, it was the tallest 2,684 feet. That's pretty tall, guys. 162 stories in 2009. And since then, there are a lot of designs for taller buildings, but I haven't seen yet. And if you guys do, let me know any other building yet sometimes they hold that status for a few years and sometimes even more. Yes, here it is in Dubai. You can tell that if you look at the base, it kind of looks like it's got the three different petals. I think it's more than three. But it starts off wider and with a lot of different foods that are kind of like brought together and going up smaller and smaller in size. Okay. This was the tallest building here. Taipei 101 at 1,667 feet. You might find some questions on these. Yeah, there might be some questions on the that are about what we're talking about right now. It right. So we already are talking about the first 3 or 4 questions. 5 questions on the quiz, or not quiz, assignment 9, if you wanna follow along and put those in there. Oh, yeah, let me see, did you find one? Um, oh, good, I love it. I love that you guys are, I looked into going to this building. Honestly, got this one. I researched, what it would take for me to travel there because that was going to be on my bucket list. And then I found out that it would take like 3 days for me to get there, 2 or 3 days to get there, and then I'd only be able to stay for like a day or two, and then it would take me 2 or 3 days to get back. And the expense was more to actually get there than it was to stay there. But I'm really glad that you had an opportunity to go there and visit it. I've been to quite a few skyscrapers, but mostly in the United States. So, and I did go to the Eiffel Tower. Yeah. So that's good. You have a picture of it here. Let's take a look at it. I can download it. Wow. So Michael showed us a picture of this at night. That's a nice picture. Oops. Right there. Very cool. I'm gonna go ahead and download it. And then here's another picture. Let's take a look. Can you open it? Yeah, there we go. Oh, look at this picture. This is kind of cool. It's got so many great pictures online of all the skyscrapers of all the different cities. There was a time that that looks like a really great view of Dubai for sure. So there was a time when I challenged myself to look at different city skylines and know instantly what city it was. And I was really pretty good at that, honestly. We would be watching a movie and somebody would say, Mom, or somebody, my mom would even say to me, what city is that? And then I would kind of know, but they changed over time, but this is a very cool view from there. Thank you for posting that. All right, so anyone know how to actually say this? What's the proper like pronunciation of that? Anybody want to tell us?
Is it not just the Burj Dubai?
Burj?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
I think it sounds right. Burj Dubai. I like it. Thank you. All right. So we would never have this technology right here if we didn't, have steel and the whole steel construction of that skeleton of, different connections with the beams and the trusses. Mostly beams at the time and columns. Okay. So this one here, absorbed earthquakes above 7 on the Richter scale. It has the world's fastest lift, 34 double-decker shuttles that can zoom up 37 miles per hour. Now, I wonder, can somebody do a search and see what is the fastest elevator? Anybody? You can write it in the chat. I think this is a good idea for us to kind of like explore things.
It says
slower.
the Shanghai Tower in China has the fastest elevator with the top speed of 67 feet per second.
67
Feet per
feet
second.
per second. How many miles per hour would that be? Does it say in there? When you think about it though, per second, 67 stories per second? Wow. Can you imagine being in there? I've been in a lot of these elevators like the Sears Tower. We're gonna be taking a look at it and they are pretty quick. It says takes passengers to the 90th floor in under 39 seconds.
It'll be like 46 miles per hour.
That's pretty fast. That's pretty fast. You can imagine that we never really even we didn't have elevators at one time. The stairs were only different skyscrapers. But technology, guys, technology brings us into a completely different path as we move forward in time. So we see a lot of different skyscrapers defined by their, like the top part of it or the design. And a lot of them are built around the weather too, wind speeds from the earthquakes. Going back to something like this, that's earthquake resistant, absorbs earthquake. I watched a documentary about that, and there's so many different ways that skyscrapers balance the weight so that they don't sway as much as they do. And even a skyscraper where the weight in the lower floor moved depending on what it needed, it moved to change directions based on the wind speeds, which I think that technology alone is pretty amazing, for sure. I know, when I went to New York, when I was in college, I did have a chance to be at the top of the World Trade Center before it was destroyed. And there was the sway up there, I think that there is a kind of a movement, a sway of that's accepted by code. And I think it was like 13 or 15, 15 inches. I felt it. I felt like we were moving. You had to really get used to it. So yes, steel framed skyscraper, 101 stories. Some other ones here. And each one has its own background and story that we can kind of define. We can't have a conversation without the Petronas Towers. Beautiful architecture. These two towers had they're still with us. They have this little walkway between the two. 88 stories. Each floor of the tower is shaped like a 8-point star. I don't have a floor plan of that. You know what? Yeah. There's certain things I wanna just go look up and add to this, but then we have a lot longer conversation for sure, but if you are interested, take a look at the floor plan of this. I've helped students to put this in Revit. Anything's possible in that software program as well. It's very beautiful, the building there by Caesar Pally. Sears Tower in Chicago, had the highest occupied building, more than 200 feet high, higher than the highest occupied floor in the Petronas Tower. Okay, so look it up, guys. See now, let's just see now, and I'll write this down. What is the highest occupied building floor right now? Skyscraper. Occupied, the highest occupied. The thing of it is we can have, it's kind of hard to research and find because everybody is claiming that their skyscraper is the tallest, but it could be to the antennas instead of the
They say the highest floor is the 103rd floor.
103rd. 103.
Yeah.
And what building?
The Sears Tower.
The Sears Tower, yeah. I thought the Sears Tower was and has been the highest occupied building. It's actually called the Willis Tower now. And that's the coolness of research. While we're talking about these things, you guys can be online, and that's why I moved over here, looking at, details of it, kind of exploring more of it. This is a building that I've been on several times because I lived in Chicago for a couple of years, and beautiful views of the city for sure. Oh, here it is, the Sears Tower, now called the Willis Tower. Steel frames, bronze tinted window, glass curtain wall. It was the tallest building in the world until the Burj Dubai. Still has highest occupied floor level. Yeah, I don't have it on here. I actually put 110 stories, but maybe the occupied floor show me go to 103. Right. 75 foot square tubes. And they're staggered and have different levels. You can kind of see that in the design of it. The plan consists of these 9 75 by 75 foot columns. So now we're really working on and seeing a lot of development in the design of the skyscraper, with the invention of steel and cities in general. Empire State Building was also the tallest in New York at one time. Probably the new World Trade Center is. So can you guys look it up? What is the tallest building in New York now? Commercial office building, steel frame with the stone cladding. Located Art Deco, 102 floors. It's one of the very few skyscrapers with 4 facades, not just one facing the avenue. Tallest building in New York until the Trade Center in 19, and now is the tallest. And now, yeah. So what happened here? So I think the Empire State Building was the tallest, and then when the Trade Center went down, it went back to it because it was the tallest. And now the Trade Center, I think, is the One World Trade Center. Yeah, it's online. Somebody posted there. That skyscraper has a lot. I think I might have it in here. Let me just move forward. But so added to New York is the new One World Trade Center, which I visited a couple of times. It's a really great building. Oh, did I get in there? No, I didn't get in there. There's that one in there. I think I have it in here somewhere, but let me add to this that the One World Trade Center. Let me just take a look real quick. There it is. I did go back to it. Okay. I do have it in here. So I just added a few more skyscrapers that I are tall buildings that I thought were really beautiful, like this one, like in the shape of an Arabian ship. I love this one. I looked at actually staying there, but $7,000 a night, I think I'll pass. Uh, but really uh, beautiful, beautiful design, and worth looking at. And he's been there too. Good, good. It's nice to have places that we've traveled to on its own island. Okay, here's some pictures that he has of it. Is that? Oh, that's one of the sections of it. Oh, look at that. That's a view of it that is. Thank you, Michael. This is a view of it at the end right there. Here's another picture that's posted in the chat. Look at that. Very cool. Inside lobby of it. We're going to go through a lot of buildings that we're discovering, and if you go online and do a search for it, or you've been there, especially there you are. You know, sharing them or just looking at for yourself, for your own, knowledge of it is kind of nice to do. I'll like introduce it to you and then you can decide on what to do. It's rests on its own man-made island and has its own heliport, which is kind of cool too. One of the restaurants is accessible by submarine, so uniqueness there for sure. So this just gives you an idea of over time, each years at the bottom, how we just kept going higher and higher and higher with the heights of the skyscrapers, the Sears Tower being here, the Tronas Towers even taller in 1996. If you go online, you'll see a lot of these kind of like views of all the different towers and how high they are. Most of these are going to be in metric, but I added the feet here so we could kind of get that difference. You can see that the Empire State Building is up here compared to the Sears Tower and the Tronas Towers and Tampei. Okay. And then this Burj Dubai tower being the tallest here. Well, I wanted to highlight a few buildings. One is the Guardian Building, and it's in Detroit. These are the Detroit buildings. There is a tour coming up. Oh, I meant to get that. Let me just take a minute. Get this up here. I think I actually sent it to myself, so I'm gonna just kind of take a look to see if I can catch that. Find that. Here it is. I found it. Oh my God, I sent myself this link. See if I can get it over here to you. Right. So this is the Guardian Building, and if you haven't been there before, this is a place to go in Detroit. I've actually had students there a couple of years. I used to do a lot of field trips. Almost every class we would have. Well, right now we still have architects coming into the classroom. And we used to go to a lot of architects' offices in Detroit. We went a couple times. Kelowna, another professor, has, brought students to Detroit several times as well. When the tours that I did, we actually went to architects' offices. Um, and there's an architect's office here called the Smith Group that's right in the 17th floor, one of these floors. In fact, they have one of these floors that has all windows, kind of cool to see. But this is a tour that's coming up. I was going to actually go to it. Let's see. I I thought I would quickly go to the, oh, here it is. $12. What is it though? You see the date on here? No, it's coming up pretty close. Thought the date would be like right first, but it's telling the price and where to meet and the duration of it. Oh, what is it? Oh, let's see, book now and see if that'll show us. Oh, so there are several of these dates that you can choose from. And it looks like there are some availabilities for the end of this month coming up here, even today. Maybe after class, scooch over there. No, whoa, lot of opportunities in March. And wow, okay, they're going all the way out to that? Whoa, okay, guys, we need to go there. Wait, it can't be. You think? That many? Are they doing that many? Let me just see. Yeah, they are. Oh, they really want to highlight this place. It is beautiful. It is a beautiful building and I think you should take the time to go check it out. Um, yeah, it's got beautiful mosaics in the interior of it. Okay, so just wanted to point that out to you, that it is something that you can go do. Okay. There are other skyscrapers worth noting, for their structure or their height, the Meritech Building, Michigan Central Station. You know, this building has gotten a lot of conversation. I think they put new glass in there and they're renovating it now,
They did renovate it.
the whole thing.
Mhm.
I can't remember what it ended up being because it was
It's
supposed to
kind of like a welcome center now.
Welcome Center.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be like, for the Detroit police to move into at one time.
Yeah, no.
No, and so what's its function?
It's literally just like a welcome center. You could just go in there and walk around and stuff. I'm not sure what they did with the top floors of it, but I know the main floor is really just like a welcome.
I'd like to go in there one day and check it out because I think a lot of movies have been based on that interiors, big vaulted kind of ceilings.
Yeah, they filmed Transformers there.
What is it?
They filmed Transformers there.
Transformers. Okay, nice. Yeah, write that down. Which one?
The first one.
Oh, okay.
The scene at the end where Shia LaBeouf is like running from Megatron. They're running through that building.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I might have to actually go, take a look at that. I know we've had some buildings in Detroit in different movies. There was, what's that one movie? I don't know if I should spend this time looking for this, but there was a movie built, movie in the Renaissance Center there at one time too. Okay, so, the Buell Building and the Penobscot Building. In Detroit, a lot of beautiful skyscrapers. You can see the top part of it there. The city county building, Hartley Ellington, some famous architects from Michigan, especially SHG. So these are kind of, could be on your list of things if you want to take a look at it. Yamasaki, Minoru Yamasaki is the designer and architect for the World Trade Center. He's local here. Some of my friends actually worked for him or working for him while they were in school or even now. And so the same person who originally designed the World Trade Center, the original World Trade Center, um, is local, and there's still a skyscraper here in the building right here based on his innovative designs at that time. Right. The first federal building has that kind of modern showing the steel look of that 1964 during that time of modern architecture. We have the Pontchartrain as well as buildings like this one, the Blue Shield building by Giffords. This one designed special panels to reflect the sun on its side there. McNamara building, Fisher. The Fisher building is definitely a go-to if you get a chance to go there. You can see the barrel vaulting that I was kind of referring to based on the other building out in New York. So the Renaissance Center, these are some original construction drawings of it. They're talking about taking down the two towers in the front and working with waterfront development. There is some conversation about the whole thing being taken down. Anyone hear the latest and greatest news? I think it's still in the news right now as we speak that these, that two of the towers might be taken down for waterfront development, but also I don't know where they're at with that right now. But, as people start to move out of these buildings, skyscrapers are really just office buildings and it's really transitioned, haven't they? Because people are working from home, companies are moving around. I read an article about them now renting out the whole floor for people to live there. So what used to be office space is now potentially a whole floor of a suite for someone to live in a skyscraper. Another article I read was they're renting the floors of office buildings for movies so that movies can be filmed in those spaces. They're desperate to use these buildings. And
Well, they're
so,
about to renovate it.
what's that?
They're about to renovate it.
Yeah, I don't know how much of it they're taking down though.
From what I saw, it's supposed to be a whole new redevelopment of the whole space.
I heard that the two towers in the front are going to be taken down, and all of this is going to be redeveloped as lakefront property. So we'll see where that goes. I wasn't sure where it's at right now because I think it's still in the discussion. But, yeah. Okay, so a few other buildings here in Detroit that are worth looking at. I'm just gonna kind of go through. Philip Johnson is one of the top architects of the world, and he designed this Comerica Tower for us in Detroit. The old county building there was just right restored not too long ago. It's beautiful. Going back to other significant skyscrapers like the Chrysler building with its beautiful Art Deco top piece there, stainless steel, metal ornamented top. A lot of movies based on that one for sure, right? Reliance building, another significant structural framed one in 1890 when steel and the curtain wall system was just being developed. Rockefeller Center in New York for sure. Another one here called the Lever House. Um, all steel framed with this curtain wall, and at that time it was it was new and exciting and more modern. We're going to talk about Mies van der Rohe. There are three architects that are considered to be the most renowned of all time in books developed called master architects, and Mies is one of them. So is Frank Lloyd Wright and Corbu. Le Corbusier. We'll be talking about these architects later as we talk about architects. But Mies van der Rohe really gave us this idea of exposing the steel. And so we didn't see skyscrapers or we didn't see buildings that exposed steel. Most of it was all hidden behind the structure. So expose the structure, less is more. These are kind of coined statements of Mies van der Rohe thinking of it as architecture. So that's what these Lakeshore Drive apartments are. Seagram's building, same thing. You can see the steel on the outside. Instead of hiding it, it's kind of more of the art of it, the art of technology. Okay, World Trade Center, I did mention these here. I think it was 2 years ago on my birthday, I flew there for my birthday and I saw the new development of that plaza. They still kept some of these original pieces in the museum there. I don't think I talked any more about it, just a few things, yeah. But new tower is pretty amazing, and you can tell that it's based on security and safety. Here it is, the information about it. 1,776 feet to the antenna spire there. The tallest building in, for sure, in New York, but will be the tallest building in America and tallest office building surpassing. Did it surpass? I don't think it did. No, the Dubai building is still the tallest one right there. But I put that in there to kind of compare how much taller the skyscraper in Dubai is to these other two that are also considered tall. Okay, so safety and security. A 187-foot concrete base was added by the base in the glass prism. So look at the bottom right there. See that? 87-foot concrete base. So security is, of course, as you can imagine, very significant. Like a concrete bunker, average 90 feet away from the street, so a big setback from the street. 3-foot thick reinforced concrete walls for all the stairwells. Also, the depth of the stairwells is an increase. Extremely wide, emergency stairs. Dedicated set of stairways for firefighters. So we're, these type of life-changing events do kind of put us as architects and designers in a different path as well. So we see a lot of not only sustainable design, but also all of this about security and biological and chemical filters throughout its ventilation system. So there's a lot to this building behind the scenes that it's a lot about security and safety. LEED gold certification by LEED. So LEED is leadership in energy and environmental design. And we see a lot of buildings that get points towards this type of certification. So it's a very sustainable, building through the USGBC, US Green Building Council. So heated by steam with limited oil and natural gases, a lot of different things that go into being sustainable. Rainwater recycling, rainwater collection, right? But there, if you look at the list of things, and that's for a different class, and topic, you'll see a lot of, things that they've done to be more sustainable as well. Okay. I am going to see what this, link is right here. There was a huge competition. A huge competition for the new trade center. Just want to see if this is a link. Oh, okay. All right. John Hancock Center, another engineering piece with the big X's cross bracing in the facade tapered form from the base up to the top of the skyscraper. Giant bracing, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you see those X bracing there. Structural facade. The Bank of China by I.M. Pei. I.M. Pei is one of my favorite architects. He is more of an engineer, architect slash engineer, in that this design is specific to the wind and light. This triangular step back design. Of course, this building in Hong Kong, the bank by Norman Foster, also very high tech with the bracing and all the steel technology that we saw. This one is beautiful, Hancock Place. I did get a chance to see this one. What's, no, I didn't have a story in here. So the beautiful, I think, thing about this building is that if you look at this picture here in the bottom left corner, there's a beautiful church next to it. And if you stand right there, it's the most awesome feeling, because instead of being in contrast with the church, it really makes for a beautiful reflection of the church. So you're standing here and you've got this 180 view of all the beauty of the church that's reflected in the glass. I think that's really great. Okay, so there's a story behind this one. I'm just going to tell you really quick. The panels to this building started popping off, and it was a huge story at the time. Not too long ago, really. I had to check that out and see what date that was. And everyone pointed to the architect. So I.M. Pei got a lot of negative feedback from everyone, and that it was his fault, blah, blah, blah. But it ended up, the damage was already done, that it was the window manufacturer and the panels themselves that ended up being like the cause of it. But yeah, it's too late that his reputation was a little tarnished, but afterwards did come out that it was the window manufacturer, but it was, things like this happen and push through them, and there's a story of that. And so I'm sure we've learned from that technology, to design it in a better way for the panels to stay in. If that was, can you imagine? That would be quite a mess. Eiffel Tower, Russian tower, under construction. I'm not sure if it is actually built, but you see a lot of drawings that architects have created, so many different designs of skyscrapers. I was at the Eiffel Tower when I lived there. I lived there for about a year. Up here at the top, it's a beautiful view as well. Some other designs and buildings that I thought were beautiful enough to put in here, skyscrapers. Again, sometimes invented or designed for the wind or have something in mind for the environment. These are proposals. I don't know if this one was ever built, but it was proposed. It looks sort of like the one in Dubai, but it's supposed to have been with us and 4,000 feet high. So all of these different sketches and proposals come out with potential buildings that would be built. This is the one World Trade Center right there. Other one here in Shanghai. And then this one, wow, this is such a cool tower. I don't know, I don't think they built it, but each floor moves and rotates. And I thought that this was, yeah, it's not a movie here. I'm sure that if you went online, you could find it. But the moving, it's called a moving skyscraper. Each floor rotates, and the movie actually shows you how your view would be. You could see this view throughout the day, different views around it. Can you imagine the building like moving and taking on different forms? You can see how it changes as it's moving. I threw this one in there because, wow, taller and taller and taller, but now we're, beyond the clouds here. And the smoke actually probably also. Different, proposals for organic architecture, um, looking at skyscraper designs as being less linear in height and more curves with organic architecture there, yeah. This one was actually being built and constructed in Ohio or Ontario. It's called the Maryland Monroe for its curves. Let's see. It was duly completed in 2011. I think I need to update this a little bit, right? Let me just take a look at this because I'm interested in seeing how this one actually looks. Yeah. I just thought that this was so beautiful. And some people are taking a little breaks here. So I thought I'd take a look at this. See if they did it. Yeah. Take a look. Here it is. So now we see this less straight kind of curve form. And I'm sure that if you did a search for different skyscrapers, you would see so many unique ones out there. And this was one of the assignments that I had students do, to go take a look at skyscrapers and, report on that. I don't have that right now, but we might do that still. Here are some other kind of like future development of it. Oh, and then this one here, this was the last one, I think, of that topic where it was proposed that all societies would live in this kind of spike. And, each one, let me see if I can get this. Each spike had a different, different functions of society, so that the whole thing could be all one, inclusive of all of what we need. Livable environments was the name of it. So we are starting to see here the idea of us all living in a community in one place, like kind of futuristic, like this representation of where we're going. We may have a little bit of a setback right now, but this kind of vertical and horizontal transportation is starting to develop, for future, future design. We already see the people mover, which is kind of like this idea, or the L in Chicago for horizontal transportation that's kind of higher, right? And all of these different walkways that are between the two buildings. So this is a depiction of what we might see in the future. You've probably seen this in movies too. There was I think it was, what was that, Fifth Element? I think it was a movie called Fifth Element with, what was that actor's name that was, Element, um, Bruce Willis, that's right. So Bruce Willis was in a movie called The Fifth Element, and part of the scene was, this life of this transportation that was higher. See this right here? Transportation that was higher. I thought it was pretty cool to see how, we're now have these different heights of transportation as we look at cities. And I see us kind of going that way as well, by other movies. But that's I think where we're going in the future of skyscrapers. What do you guys think? You think we're going higher and higher, or because we're like moving more horizontal like this? This movie, Fifth Element, really brought in here this idea of transportation like this, going from skyscraper to skyscraper. Yeah, do you see this happening? Anybody? Any thoughts on that? Okay. So this was one of the projects that I had students do. And I really think that it would be a good one. I haven't put it down there yet. But I think I think you'd be able to open your eyes to a lot of, unique skyscraper designs. And so if you do a search for design competitions for skyscrapers and look at those futuristic kind of designs and what they're based on. Right now, we might see something a little different than what we did back then. I haven't posted this as an assignment yet, but I do like the idea of everybody picking out one. So you go online and you find, it doesn't have to be a design competition, but it's but it's about finding where we're going with skyscraper design, like future proposals. So if everybody finds one future proposal and you create one document of it, then next week we can look at what everybody has, kind of like show what you found. I haven't posted it yet as an assignment, but I'm talking to you about it now. And I think it would be fun for you as well to go take a look at what kind of unique, I'm talking about a unique skyscraper design that we're seeing that may be where we're going. No, something like this is just a proposal of what we could see in the future. Design competitions go a long way, guys. When I lived in Chicago, I went to so many of them, and you see uniqueness in the air. A lot of future designs, and some of it you can kind of sense that it will be reality. So let's do that. Find a skyscraper design that is a proposal for future or future design that is unique, but still, not comical like it wouldn't be felt, but still, we want to see it. Just let me see what you find. Here, this drawing, right here probably turned a lot of heads, and almost seemed like it wouldn't be possible, but we're seeing that things can be possible. So whether it's something to do with the structure itself or sustainability or AI or whatever, wherever we're going, let's find something that is predictive right now of what we will see in the future. Any questions about that? It's just gonna be one building, one or two photos, maybe more photos, but more about, a little paragraph, a few sentences about what this futuristic skyscraper, what this future skyscraper does, why it's significant. Just one picture, if you can only find one. You can see all the different ones here. And, there are way more skyscrapers that I haven't even covered. If I did a search for unique skyscrapers, in fact, this is what I did with my students when we were designing, futuristic buildings. Let me see here.
So you just want a picture of the skyscraper, or you want like an actual design board that someone would come up with?
Whatever you find, I did a unique, where is it? So these are some of the unique skyscrapers of things that I didn't talk about, like this one. This one really works well. And it's very well known. There's a huge swimming pool up here, and it's like it's got this connection between the three towers. But then we have towers that we already know about, like this one here. But if you go online and you find something that's really unique and you have some kind of title to it, this is the one I was talking to you about. That like turns. It turns and gives you different views of it, and kind of becomes this this different skyscraper, but see what you find and what kind of inspires you for future. These are unique, but if you look at like future skyscraper designs, let's take a look at, like, you see there's some ideas of what these are exploring like unusual ones, but I'd like you to take a look at what we might find for the future. Like this would be kind of the Jetsons, remember I don't know, there was a comic, animated kids show called The Jetsons. It was kind of cool. Where they lived in the sky and they, instead of having a car, they're flying around. So find something that represents what we're going to see in the future. Something that, something that we might be working towards. I'm open to whatever you find. I looked at unique buildings. Unique ones are usually the ones that are, futuristic ones and designs. And put a photo in there and then just try to find at least like a statement about it. Like who designed it, or even something that's like, proposed skyscraper of, the future, little something about it. I think that what it'll do is give everyone a chance to go take a look at these futuristic, unique skyscrapers and get in there and look at them and how beautiful all of them are, and find one that kind of talks to you. I don't care if it's a Word document or a PowerPoint, but we have been using PowerPoint, so it's up to you. Put the photo in there and give it a little bit of a description. I don't need a whole page of, description of it. Just if you have the place, a lot of these won't have a place. So I'm okay if it doesn't have a place. I just want you to explore, the future unique skyscrapers. Mostly future, but future meaning that it's going to be unique. Look at this picture I found. That is cool. I would love that. This one has the One Trade Center, that it has the Empire State Building, it has the Guggenheim, it has a Chrysler Building. It even has this triangular one we were just talking about. Flatiron Building. I'd like to get that. I bet that's costs a lot of money too. So one of the projects I used to have students do is this kind of silhouette of the silhouette of the skyscrapers, but I think it'll be better if you guys post unique future ones. All right. So you'll see all of these different skylines if you do a search for that. Okay. Tallest 20 buildings. Get an idea of those. Dubai being the tallest. Dubai, the one in Dubai just went taller than all the rest. It's gonna stay that way for a while. But there are other proposals here that are on their way. I think Shanghai, China, has been really looking at that. All right, so you've probably answered some of the questions. Hopefully all of them are on the first page there, 1 through 10. Which building did we say was the tallest in New York? I think that answer needs to be on number 10.
I think it's like on the paper, it's Empire State Building, but the actual one is the One World Trade Center.
Yeah, so let's everybody add that for number 10. If you had a choice between these, it would be the Empire State Building, but number 10, let's make the answer to that the One World Trade Center. And I honestly thought that we were going to add all of this conversation of arts and crafts and Art Nouveau, but we're going to hold off on that. Or next week, I might introduce it today. I think it would be a good idea for us to go through these questions though. Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is like the Jetsons one I was just showing. It's pretty cool. Okay. So let's take a look at these questions, because I think it would be, I only think it'd be nice if I went through these with you. Although I think that you guys have been pretty good with finding the answers of these, which I'm really happy that you're working on it as we're going. But since it's fresh in our mind, and we'll save the Art Nouveau and arts and crafts for next week, let's take a look at these. All right. So, what type of material, guys, led to the development of the skyscraper? Steel. Steel. Right. So we said that the type of material is steel. So of all of those categories, which one is not one of the categories? Anybody, you guys can type it in online. What do you think, guys? What's the answer for this one?
Said C.
Yes, the top of the elevator. That is true. The number one was steel, number two, top of the elevator, because we had the top of the floor, the top of the antenna, right? Not the top of the elevator. Which building is currently the tallest in the world? It's definitely C. Can you see that I'm making this, manageable for you to be able to listen to and look at the lecture and then answer some of these? Who was the chief architect of the first recognized skyscraper? Oh, the Reliance Building in Chicago. Ah,
B.
You're right, Daniel Burnham. And considered the oldest remaining skyscraper in New York, Flatiron Building. We are talking about, oh, hold on,
In this
Maybe.
slide, it says C.
it is C. But, let's just see here. Maybe I have two different things going on here. Let's just see. Make sure. I did put the, Reliance Building in there, which, which is important to us because it was one of those early skyscrapers. Okay, so going back in this presentation, looking at this Flatiron Building. So I have two different things in here. This one is Daniel Burnham. Oh, it's George Fuller's building company. Okay, that's why. And then let's take a look at the other one. Where's that one? This is kind of the reason why I'm doing this with you as well. Where is that Reliance building? Because the Reliance building I was telling you about is really, important to us. There it is, Daniel Burnham. So it is B, you're right. Oh, good one. So although it does say that it's his building, the chief architect is what we're asking for. And so that would, number 4 is B, Daniel Burnham. That is important to us because, I do remember Daniel Burnham being someone of significance, being an architect that was first recognized for the skyscraper. And this building right here, the Reliance building, was that one that I showed you in the picture where it has this steel skeletal frame with the curtain wall. And if you go back to this one, the architect is Daniel Burnham, but George Fuller's building company, is either the building or the person who built it, George Fuller. So we'll have to do a little research on like what building company is. So the answer to number 4 is actually B, because we're talking about the chief architect. I probably should take that out and do a little research on who George Fuller's is in this building. Okay. Going back to the questions here. How tall is the tallest building in the world? Do I have the right number there, guys?
You said which number?
It's number 5.
C.
It would be C, but I have,
You don't have to, I had to look that one up because I know the answer on there is 2,684.
Yeah, when you Google it, you got the number you have on it.
So
right.
I just looked up the tallest building and it said it was 2,717, so I just circled that.
Oh, good,
But it
good.
didn't match up to the PowerPoint.
This
so-
one. So there's something about this number that includes the spire.
I think when you go down, like in the PowerPoint, there's a picture at the very bottom that has like the numbers, because on like the last slide, I think. I think that's
Oh,
where I
yeah,
got it
yeah,
from. Wait, up one more? Yep, that one, and then if you like scroll over, I think. Wait, no. Where was it?
It might have been the one you just passed.
I
No,
did
yeah.
have that one, didn't I, up here? There was one up here that said it. I
Yeah,
think
it
I
was in
need,
one of those ones, you gotta like.
I think it was at the very beginning. Ah. Oh, okay, you gotta get my numbers straight, guys, because this one says 2684. And this is why they have 4 categories. Because is it to the top of the floor or is it to the top of the antenna? Right? So the answer for number 5 is C. The answer for number 5 is C, for sure. 2717. Now, research, see what difference is between those two, because there are different heights for the floor and the antenna and everything else. Good. All right, what about number 6? The saying less is more?
B.
We're talking about Mies, Van Roo, Mies. These are all really great architects right there, but Mies Van Roo did have that concept of showing, exposing the structure. All right, we're only going to go down to 10 here, so number 7.
Saudi Arabia.
I put Shanghai, China.
You know, based on my, PowerPoint, it is Shanghai, China. And, Shanghai, China is the one that in 2020 was that one was the, tallest plan. Now, I don't know what's like the tallest planned one now, because it changes all the time. Let's do a little research and find that one, right? Which is to build this, which city or county has plans to build the tallest skyscraper? Now, let's do that. What are you guys finding? Let's see, let's find out which building that is. Tallest. We'll write it in there. Skyscraper plan 2025. Well, there are a lot of them, aren't there? Of course. That's probably why I probably should take that question out, because look, these are the tallest that are planned. And they're almost all in Dubai, right? Right. So you can see that it changes very quickly, and you can see all of these different, proposed skyscrapers and how tall they are. Yeah. So the one that I, found that was really planned is the one in Shanghai. And that was in, for years, that was one that was, uh, said to be the one that would top Dubai. And I think I have it right here someplace. Do I do? It's that one right there. That one. 2020 is not that far from here. Look at it, it looks like a bullet. Right? All right, so, which, so number 7, we'll put Shanghai, but China, but I think we should see if any have kind of replaced that in the last 2 or 3 years, 3, 4 years. Okay, number 8. Which skyscraper is shaped like an 8-point star in plan?
Petronas Tower.
The Petronas Tower, that's right. We did talk about this one. This is a very well-known building worth looking at if you want to, research. Number 9. What do you think, guys? We talked about number 9 for a little while.
Sears Tower.
Sears Tower, the Sears Tower. The Sears Tower is very well known as the Sears Tower, but it's also called the Willis Tower. So number 9 is the Sears Tower. And we did say number 10, if you had to choose any of these, it would be the Empire State Building, which was tallest in New York for so many years. And now the World Trade Center, One World Trade Center. And before we, end here, I wanna show you this beautiful building, not just the building, but, there was something else, these waterfalls. Wow, and if you haven't seen this, beautiful, I spent the day here just absorbing, this part. So they took the original foundations of the original World Trade Center and created these beautiful water fountains. The water comes over and down through the base of it. And all around the outside are all of the engravings of those who died during that disaster. And there are like 400 or 500 trees here with museum. I'm going back for sure because the museum was just starting to be finished its construction here. And so when you're in this space, you can hear the water running, you're in all the trees, and you don't even realize you're in this big massive city. You look out at a distance and see the city, but it's a wonderful place to go if you get a chance to travel. I think worth it to stop there for sure. Anybody go there? I went there, just few years ago, probably three or 4 years. Yeah, it's a beautiful space in the middle of the city. And there's a new new building back here. We'll talk about it later. There's other buildings I wanna talk about with that. All right, well, guys, we did go through and talk about the Industrial Revolution and how steel made a huge difference. Working with all the different skyscrapers and some architects through time. And what you're working on now is that I'm going to post right now a place for you to submit your one building that represents future skyscrapers.
Only did one, I did 5.
Do as many as you'd like. I'd love to see them. If you find more than one, you can post those as long as you have a little something about them, like where they're supposed to be located. What we're looking at is like proposed buildings that could actually happen, or maybe the idea of where we're going with skyscrapers. Okay, so I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.